Dear students, last time we have seen regarding errors and frauds, in which we have seen that meaning of error, type of errors, example of errors in these various types of fraud, and detection and prevention of frauds. That aspect we have completed last time. After discussing this aspect, we are going to discuss here the classification of audit or types of audit. When we are required to see the classification or types of audit, that time it is necessary to understand that the classification of audit is on some basis, means some of the base is considered, and accordingly classification of audit is required to be seen by us. Those classification we see, that classification is not a watertight compartment classification, means the classes of audit having the repetition. It means on the basis of various bases classification is considered. That time these types are having also the audit of in another base, though we are required to consider some of the bases, and on the basis of that so for observing the classification of audit, auditor cannot check each and every transaction. He may require to do the test checking, and the entire process of audit depends upon the type of audit. Hence, it is necessary to study the various types of audit. The types are not fixed. These are considered on the basis of various bases. Thereby, possibility of repetition is possible. The types of audit when considered, that time it is based on basically on two bases. The first is on the basis of method of business organization, and second is on the basis of as per the nature or a requirement of the business organization. This classification is shown on the basis of a table which I have presented here. You have to see this and accordingly understand that the various classes of audit. On the basis of method of business organization, when types of audit is considered, that time these are classified in four classes. One is statutory audit, second is private audit, third is government audit, and fourth is internal audit. These are the four types on the basis of method of organization of a business. When statutory audit is considered, that time statutory audit consists of the audit of a company, means those organizations which are established on the basis of Companies Act 1956, or those companies which are registered under Companies Act 1956, that companies are come under this category. As well, those organizations are established on the basis of charitable or public trust on the Concern Act. These are come under this category. As well, the cooperative organization which are established on the basis of or registered under Cooperative Societies Act, these are come under this organization. As well, the various types of organization such as sole trading organization, partnership firm, these are also the organization, and these organizations are also come under this category. When the statutory audit is considered, that time statutory audit we are required to see in detail when we discuss this aspect as a statutory audit. Then another classification is on the basis of nature of business organization, requirement of business organization, etc. So on this basis, when as per nature of organization the classification is made, that time audit is classified in two categories as a complete audit and second is a partial audit. When on the basis of professional views of the organization, audit is classified, that time audit is classified as a annual audit, continuous audit, and interim audit. By keeping in view the specific objectives of the audit, that time audit is classified as a cash audit, balance sheet audit, detail audit, cost audit, propriety audit, special audit, human resource audit, management audit, etc. It means the classification is made on these various bases and accordingly the audit is classified. After discussing these bases for making the classification of audit, we are required to discuss and see these various types of audit in detail. But when we consider these various types of audit in detail, that time these audits are considered in detail those audits which having due importance in this classification. But some of the audit having less importance, that aspects we consider in brief, and remaining types of audit we consider in detail, the nature of that audit, advantages of that audit, limitations of that audit, etc. By this way, we will see the types of audit. In these types of audits, some of the audits are very having not much more importance, but these are the types of audit on the basis of on the basis of some specific objectives, that audit having not more importance, and so we consider it in brief sense. If the audit is cash audit, that time in cash audit only cash transactions are examined by the auditor, and it is seen that no misappropriation of cash or no manipulation of cash transaction is there, or the cash transactions are whether properly recorded or not is seen by the auditor in cash audit. When balance sheet audit is considered, that time items of balance sheets are examined and verified by the auditor, and it is seen that the balance sheet is properly drawn up by the organization, as well the balance sheet is indicating true and fair view of the organization. When cost audit is considered, that time cost audit only cost ledger and cost aspect of the organization is verified and examined by the auditor in cost audit. In propriety audit, auditor may make the scrutiny of the executive decisions in relation to profit and loss account or financial statements. For the purpose of that, auditor is see that whether the standards are set for taking the decisions, executive decisions by the management or not, or whether management is concentrating their effort for taking the financial decisions, whether these are properly taken or not is seen in propriety audit. By this way, these are some of the minor types of audit are considered on the basis of their objectives. Then on the basis of method of business concern, we have seen that there are some types, in which first type is a statutory audit. The statutory audit is the audit which is compulsory under the law. Under this audit, appointment of auditor, removal of auditor, remuneration of auditor, rights of auditor, duties of auditor, liabilities of auditor are governed as per the provision of the respective law applicable to the business organization for which the audit is carried out. In respect of this audit, scope of audit work and all other terms are laid down by the law, and all these terms and conditions are required to be followed during the course of audit. Also, it can be conducted only by qualified chartered accountant, and qualified chartered accountant is only eligible to conduct the audit, conduct the statutory audit. The example of these are that the companies which are registered under Companies Act 1956, insurance companies governed by respective Insurance Act, public and charitable trusts registered under the Concerned Act, etc. These are the examples of a statutory audit. Then second type is a private audit. The audit which is conducted as per the will of businessman is called private audit. Means this audit is not compulsory. The audit is carried out by the businessman on the basis of his will, or when the businessman want to examine the books of accounts and record for his satisfaction, then he is undertaking the audit or assign the work of audit to the auditor. The purpose of this audit is that to establish the control, and with an intention to establish the control, the audit is undertaken by the businessman. The example of such audit are like that when sole trader is appointing auditor for examining his books of accounts and record, partnership firm is undertaking the audit work by appointing the auditor, or any of the family trust is also may make the audit of their family trust. These are the example of private audit. Third type is government audit. Government audit. Some of the ventures are run either by central or state government, and the audit of such business concern is known as a government audit. Separate account and audit department is established by the government for auditing the books of accounts of government enterprises or local authorities. The Comptroller and Auditor General of India is the higher authority for carrying out the audit of government undertakings. Under the Comptroller and Auditor General of India, the required number of auditors are appointed to audit the books of accounts of various government departments. The aim of such audit is to see that public money or public funds are not wasted, or this can be used properly and not misappropriated by anybody. The audit report is, or such auditors are accountable to the Department of Parliament of that concerned organization. These are the government audit. And fourth is internal audit. Internal audit means the audit conducted in internal manner by the organization. Such audit is called as internal audit. And the person who is carry out the audit work is called as internal auditor. In this type of audit, a salaried person is appointed by the management for carrying out the audit work. The audit of the organization is carried out by such person, and he can detect the errors, frauds, misappropriation, and irregularities, etc. This audit is a voluntary type of audit. It is undertaken according to the instructions of management. This audit, when conducted according to the instructions of management, that time this audit is called as internal audit. Various businesses whose scope is very wide and transactions are on large scale, that time these their transactions are recorded by various employees, and such transactions are required to be checked by the internal auditor. And for the purpose of that, this internal audit facility is applied by the organization for establishing control over the accounting work of the organization. By this way, these are the four types of audit which are on the basis of method of business organization. Then second classification is that as per the nature requirement of business concern. As per the nature, or as per the nature of the business concern, the audit is classified in two classes. One is a complete audit and second is a partial audit. The word complete audit itself indicating the meaning of it. Complete audit means auditor is required to check each and every transaction recorded in the books of account. That audit is called as a complete audit. We have seen that in the concept of auditing. Auditing means systematic examination of books, accounts, records, and vouchers of the organization with an intention to establish the control, as well to see that whether the accounting information which is given is true and fair or not. At that time, auditor is required to examine all the record on the basis of which accounts are prepared and maintained by the organization. So auditor is required to examine the various documents which relates to accounting of the organization. In such a case, auditor has to examine each and every voucher, document, or correspondence relating to transaction. That time this audit is called as a complete audit. This type of audit is not useful for large organization, because in large organization the number of vouchers are more, number of documents are more, and thereby it is not feasible or possible to check each and every transaction of organization. This audit is done with spending the required time by the auditor, so there is no possibility of omission of any transaction by the auditor, because he is examining each and every document, each and every voucher, each and every correspondence which relates to the accounting transaction. It means this audit is applicable to small size business organization where volume of transactions are not large. This is complete audit. And second is a partial audit. In this type, the auditor is not required to examine all the books of accounts, only the part of accounts or some transactions as desired by the client may be scrutinized by the auditor, and thereby those books, those account or those record he is required to examine or check only to that record, or only to certain extent record is examined by the auditor. So this audit is called as a partial audit. This audit is not complete audit. The example of this audit are, example is that audit of purchase book, audit of closing stock. It means when the organization want to make a audit of some specific aspect of the accounting as accounting work, that aspect is only examined by the auditor, and this audit is called as partial audit. This audit is not convenient when the audit is legally required. Means when audit is legally required, that time partial audit is not possible. But when management desire to examine some certain aspect, that time such audit is applied by the management for verifying that particular aspect only. By this way, on the basis of the nature of work, the audit is classified as a complete audit and partial audit. By this way, today we have seen here the types of audit, the classification of audit, nature of this classification, and some types of audit which are classified on these various bases. So next time we'll see the remaining classification of audit or types of audit to the next lecture. Thank you.